So that's kind of what that's going to look like. You can see the background is pretty rough at this point, but it's kind of down almost to where I want it. I could probably clean that up a little bit more, but I'll clean it up using the third tool, which is this one, which is about a 20 millimeter or 3/4 inch number 5. You can see the sweep on this. So there's a lot shallower sweep on this. Another thing you might notice about my chisels, and again, this is the way that a lot of British carvers actually do this. You have the outside bevel, which is quite a long outside bevel, and which makes the actual cutting edge very shallow, right? If you think of it this as a wedge going into the wood, the shallower the wedge, the less resistance there's going to be, but the weaker the tool is going to be. This is going to be another video as well, so stay tuned for that on actually how to properly sharpen a wood carving gouge and B-tool and whatever other tools you got. So anyhow, number 5, we're going to take this back to the ground, and we're going to kind of clean that up back to the edge. Again, for this, we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be coming in from the side and just taking quite a big bite. And this being pine too, the other thing is that we can actually just kind of come in by hand. We don't need necessarily to use the gouge or the mallet. This wood carves so easily. These chisels are sharp that you just come in and do it by hand. But you actually do have more control when you're using the mallet. And again, we're coming right up into the area that we detoured. Because this is pine, I am going to actually get just a little block to use as a pad, because otherwise these clamps are going to start leaving marks on our ground. And if we're doing a carving, we actually want to have the ground, to look nice instead of all dented up with marks from our clamps. Do for this too, since it is, so we want to use 2, but we can just put a clamp right on top of our actual carved area. And because this is, like I said, pine and not a very hard wood, this tool is just going through it pretty much like butter, so it's not really moving it around, which is keeping it in place. A little bit of a knot right here, which is not ideal. I would have cut that out of my piece if I hadn't just grabbed this randomly before I started this video. So anyhow, we'll deal with it. The thing about knots in pine is that they're so much harder than the actual rest of the wood that it's going to wind up, most likely, it's going to wind up chipping your tool. Your tool will actually, when it hits that knot, it's actually going to dull very quickly and wind up making a microscopic chip or whatever on the edge of it. You kind of get around that a little bit by giving our gouge kind of a rocking motion as we come through that. But Again, that's something that usually you want to work out in the design phase of this so that you're not dealing with a big knot like that. But pine is not the ideal wood for carving. The tools have to be very, very sharp. It's kind of counterintuitive because it's a soft wood. Right? Everybody knows pine's soft. It's going to be a harder wood. But the fact that it is so soft means that unless your tools are extremely sharp, what's going to want to happen is it's going to want to actually tear the grain of the wood instead of actually cutting cleanly through it. Chisels. So you can see I've come back across, and it's still fairly rough, but it's actually cleaned up quite a bit from where we were before. And if we were going to make this more deeper, we could even come in, outline it again, come back down again, and work our way down to the newer depth. Say we were making this a 1/2 inch instead of a 1/4 inch. We can also come back in right now and clean it up with a V-tool, which I'll do. I'm just going to protect it a little bit by putting a pad on the clamp. So it's going to dent that surface hopefully, and not dent the pad surface and not the carving surface. We'll just go with two clamps. So what I'm going to do now is just take that V-tool again. So again, we're starting off with these 3 tools, right? So I'm going to take that V-tool. Again, this is this one. And I'm just going to come back around and make sure that I'm on my line. So I just kind of sketched this in roughly. So I'm going to come back onto the line, redraw that in just so I'm clear, because this is quite a soft pencil, and it kind of blurred a little bit when I was sketching it on. And by the way, that's not the preferred method of actually putting your design onto wood. I'll talk a little bit about that in a further episode, but just drawing onto the wood is one way of doing it. But again, it's much better to make your design on paper and then transfer to the wood. And there's a couple different methods for doing that. I'll show you one that I like. For right now, for demonstration, we're just drawing it onto the wood. So again, I'm going to use the mallet and chisel, mallet and V-tool, and come back around and delineate this pretty close to the carving, to the lines that I just removed. Again, this is where if I was ambidextrous and using a mallet, it would be useful, but I haven't really practiced enough using it. I'm pretty good at switching hands when I'm carving, just using it by hand. I can switch off, and I have pretty much equal dexterity in both hands. And that's something you want to probably develop as you're actually carving, because it's going to save you actually having to, because the grain direction changes, or the way your tool is attacking that grain, I should say, you're going to want to change which direction you're coming from. And normally, if you didn't have if you didn't change hands with this, you would have to actually take the clamps off and flip it around, which takes time, right? And since this is all hand tool work, it is labor intensive. So anything you can do to save time is going to be useful for you. So again, I'm just coming around, and I've kind of, I'll show you when I take it off, but I've kind of tilted the V-tool now so that I'm cutting more. You know, if you cut just straight into the wood, it's going to cut that V into the wood like this. But now I've tilted it to favor that more of a 90-degree close to my design, and I'll show you that in a second. And that's just going to help me when it comes time for the next stage, is actually setting in the design. So we started off just talking about the 3 different kind of tools that you need to get started here. You know, a V-tool, pretty much something, you know, like this, 3/4 inch wide with a fairly flat sweep, and then another one with a pretty U-shaped sweep like this, like a number 9 or a number 11. That's kind of what you're looking for. And this one would be a number 5. So again, that 5 refers to the actual sweep, the curvature of the chisel, and not to the width at the cutting edge, right? So just to give you an idea how that kind of looks, you know. So again, it's just like a simple leaf. I've V-tooled around it so it's closer to the edge now, and I can come back and finish that into there with the shallow gouge, number 5. And again with this, go with this. I'm just going to put one clamp on it and a piece of wood to protect my actual carbon.